Once again, I'm late to the party on the LED. I'm about 5 years behind the curve, but I now have an LED mask and I love it.
I'm interested in longevity and improving my health span, so the number of years that we can all live. NAD Plus is one of those supplements that is in the longevity space. And NAD is a molecule that is involved in all sorts of cellular processes. Every cell in our body has it. And it's like it improves the energy function in every cell.
Hello and welcome to Own Your Health with me, Katie Brindle, the wellness expert you need to watch according to Forbes magazine and healer to the stars according to Hello magazine. Before we get into today's episode, I'd just like to talk to you about a brilliant brand which I'm very happy to discuss, which is called Evolve Organic Beauty. Now, Laura, who's the founder, has created this fantastic brand which is specifically dealing with all sorts of beauty skin concerns, but safe to use when you're pregnant, safe on the most delicate of skins, and also, above all, organic. This was one of the key things that she did when she was developing the brand. Now, the conditions that this particular product that I'm rather in love with, which is her serum, are particularly good at dealing with hyperpigmentation, dull skin, lackluster skin, dark circles, and general skin dryness. Now, the serum is £42, but Laura has very kindly, as a friend of the brand, given us a 20% discount if you use the code Brindle20. So if you pop over to evolvebeauty.co.uk, you can take advantage of all of these organic skincare products. And using your Brindle20 discount code, you'll get 20% off. All the terms and conditions and all of the various ingredients that you need to look at are all listed on the website. But I highly recommend this product and I do really suggest you go and have a look. Before we go into the nuts and bolts of today's episode, I just want to talk to you about the Naked Pharmacy because we're partnering with them. Now, for very, very good reason, there's a huge amount of synergy between what I do here on Own Your Health and what the Naked Pharmacy offer. And so aside from all their fantastic products, they've got this registered pharmacy where they offer you advice and you can literally book yourself an appointment for either yourself or anyone in your family to talk to a registered pharmacist. Their products are all science-backed, but then you can actually have a consultation for free. Now, this is invaluable and it's very much walking the same walk that I'm doing here, which is to try and give you the benefit of our expertise as much as we possibly can before you're actually thinking about buying products attached to that. And that's what I love so much about the Naked Pharmacy. So you can book yourself a consultation for either you or any other member of your family. They are also offering you 20% off all products as well if you use the code Katie20 on their website, which is thenakedpharmacy.com. So go over to the website, you can get yourself a free consultation and 20% off all their products. The terms and conditions are all listed over there, but other than that, I am so excited to be entering into this partnership. Now we can go into the episode. Now, today, it's not just me. You get 2 for 1 today. Today is the wonderful Victoria Woodhall is in the studio with me today. After her wonderful success as she came on the show a couple of months ago, we have basically said, please come back, because we've decided we are the new... the rest is history team, basically. We are the rest is history to the healthcare market, aren't we? Because basically what we're going to do every time Victoria comes on is we're going to talk about some really cool things that we're both really interested in, questions that you've asked, latest gadgets, gizmos, kind of cool supplements that we're discussing, just basically everything and anything, because we've got such a good shared knowledge, but also such a different sort of approach into the marketplace as well, that it's quite a good way to pool our different intellects. So that's what we're going to do today. Today we're going to talk about NAD+, creatine and LED face masks. But before we get started with gorgeous Victoria, let me just do a few of the lovely comments which have come in since I've last spoken to you guys. Amy, she says, your episode with Victoria Woodhall made me realise I was stressing so much about something I was supposed to be celebrating. Thank you for helping me put it into perspective. You're welcome. And I absolutely agree because I spent ages stressing about my 50th and I'm really glad that I just let all that go. Daisy says, I celebrated my 50th last year and I was so depressed. Oh, Daisy, I'm so sorry. I know this happens to so many people. I feel your episode with Victoria gave me permission to try again. 51 is the new 50. I was about to start reading into the next message, but actually, Victoria, I'm just going to bring you in here because you're sitting here poised, ready to say stuff.
And smiling.
And smiling. Yes, I know. Right, let me just stop with the comments for a second. And just to say that last time you were in, that's exactly what we were talking about, to just recap for anyone who missed Victoria's first episode with us, that we had a really brilliant conversation all about the 50th birthday. Do you want to just recap where we came from?
Well, we talked about how people dread coming up to 50, even though it's really hard to admit that, because it seems like almost like a sort of a hammer is going to fall and something dreadful is going to happen, but then you're also expected to celebrate. And so there's so many mixed feelings about specifically that age. And we talked about, well, why are we so obsessed with 50? Why not, as you said, 49? Why not 56? And you talked about multiples of 7 and how important that was for, us as cyclical beings living in 7-year cycles, and just how we can take charge of our own birthdays and celebrate them in any way we want.
And did you get feedback as well? Because I had a lot of feedback, not just the comments that I've got here, and I'll come to Liv in a second, but loads of people messaged in because we popped it up on our Instagrams as well. So what was your feedback?
Yeah, well, but people were saying, well, I actually hadn't thought of that, and thank you for giving us permission to just do it in the way that we want and to take the pressure off being 50 and having to celebrate it for other people, essentially. I mean, loads of people do want the big party and they adore it and revel in it, and that's fine.
Trevor.
But there are so many people who want something else or just want to kind of sit quietly with it for a little bit until they're ready.
Yeah, that was me. I wasn't ready. But then luckily Madonna came to London and I was like, oh, I'm ready now. So we managed to go see her. The last comment I've got here is from Liv, which she said, I was feeling really miserable about my job, but I discovered your episode on improving your mental health and it's really energized me. Thank you, Katie. Liv, you're very, very welcome. So on to our main topic today. We're going to talk. Victoria has got the most amazing knowledge of pretty much everything. I refer to you as my go-to guru, which hasn't caught on, but I like saying it because it's true. But you've got a long career writing for various leading publications, including the Daily Mail, and you are the editor-in-chief of Get the Gloss.
Editorial director of Get the Gloss, yeah. And I'm a bit of a self-experimenter. So if there's a trend early on, I will adopt it and have a go. So we're talking about NAD Plus supplements, and I've been taking these for a good couple of years now before people knew what they were. And there's also a sort of intravenous IV option. I've had that. Wouldn't repeat it, but we can talk about that.
Well, let's get stuck in, because funnily enough, when it comes to those sorts of things, I'm a bit of a late adopter, which is surprising. But when it comes, you see, I spend my entire life rummaging around the archives, looking at all the ancient things that they were doing thousands of years ago. That's what floats my boat. So I tend to find myself in the bathroom experimenting with all sorts of weird and wonderful things that my poor husband goes, what is that? We've now just had a fridge installed, and I don't mean a little beauty fridge. I mean a full-blown kitchen smeg fridge is going into my bathroom. This is my birthday present this year.
Bathroom fridge?
A bathroom fridge, but not just a little one, a full with a freezer.
What's in it?
Well, what's not in it? Okay, so I haven't got it yet. It's my birthday present. It's not quite my birthday yet, but it's going in. So first of all, we've got the freezer compartment, which is going to be full of ice cubes.
Of course, for your face
Natch for
baths.
my ice cube every morning. And then in the actual fridge itself will be all of the tools, all of the jades and the crystals and everything else, all of the creams, all of the lotions and the potions, not to mention various different cryo sticks and all sorts of other things that require cool in order to be applied to the face. So I guarantee that despite the fact that this is literally the equivalent of a kitchen sink, it's going to be full.
And you always remind us that you mustn't drink water cold from the fridge.
No.
So beauty, fine in the fridge, water.
Absolutely.
Room
exactly.
temperature. I've learnt that from you.
Oh, well, thank you. I've learned a lot from you. So the thing is, I spend my life experimenting with the ancient, and I tend to be the first person in the Western Hemisphere that's been fiddling around with something which was sort of thousands of years old and very normal. But when new things come in, I'm always quite sceptical. Oh, what's this nonsense? If it's not something they were doing in China, it can't be any good. But I'm recently adopted to NAD Plus and fairly emphatically converted. So you as an early adopter, you're like, oh, that old thing, I was doing that. Welcome to 5 years ago. So what led you into it? And what's your experience?
Well, I'm interested in longevity and improving my health span. So the number of years that we can all live in good health. So
yes.
Not necessarily living to 120, although I know with Chinese medicine, it may be within
150.
Well, there you go. But having as many of those years as possible in good health to enjoy our matriarch years, which we now are in, and all the wisdom that we've acquired. And so NAD Plus is one of those supplements that is in the longevity space. And NAD is a molecule that is involved in all sorts of cellular processes. Every cell in our body has it. And it's like it improves the energy function in every cell. So whatever that cell needs to do in your body, you're giving it more energy to do its job better. So it's essentially improving your overall health, and levels decline like collagen.
So we produce, so just for anyone, we make it. It's not some weird, because I had to explain this to Mr. Brindle I'll come on to this later, about the self-injection aspect of what I'm up to. You don't have to self-inject if you don't want to. Obviously I did. And he walks into the kitchen with me literally stabbing myself with a syringe in my fat. And he's going, what are you doing? Is it that weird Ozempic thing? Is that slimming thing? Are you on that? He goes suspiciously. I was like, no, darling, I'm just injecting NAD+. And he's going, what's that? I was going, no, you produce it naturally. So you produce it. It's just you produce less of it, especially post-menopause.
Yes, exactly. I mean, menopause is a huge kind of a jump in aging, and which is why women like us, we're kind of looking for these kind of things that give us more energy.
Yeah, because we need it. Life doesn't stop.
I know. So we are bolstering a process that is naturally slowing down, and people do say that actually taking NAD or NAD+, which is the activated form of NAD that we can take, people say that taking that gives them more energy. And I know there are a few ways to take it. So you can actually inject NAD+, which is I think what you have, this? The actual thing itself.
So this is like a kind of essence, I guess. So this is the end of this month's supply. I've probably got about a week left here. So this is what you get. So you get this, and then you get a whole load of syringes and a sharps box. Yeah. So this is the injectable. It's like the purest possible format. Yeah. You inject it every 2 days because apparently your body needs to replenish it every 2 days.
Yeah, I haven't actually tried that. I have had the NAD.
Injecting each other, running around in the studio.
I have tried the IV form, which before all the supplements came on the market, the IV was the way that most people got it, because it's a molecule that's very hard to get into cells. I think it's like collagen. It's actually quite hard to get the full molecule into your cells. But intravenously, it goes straight into your bloodstream, which I guess is what you're doing with the injection. But only certain cells have the portal. It was explained to me by a scientist involved in this area. Only certain cells will let the NAD molecule in. So it will get to your cells, but not all of them. But you will feel a difference because it's largely gets into your neuronal cells, so your nerve cells and your brain. So you will feel this kind of energized alertness. But to get all the other cells in your body, our body just needs to get better at making its own. And that's where supplements come in. So we're taking not the molecule itself, because we can't get it into every cell. We're taking the building blocks, so NAD precursors, in order to help our body make more better. So that's where supplements come in.
Right. So just going back a second, one thing that I need to understand, because when I was exploring which way am I going to take this marvellous supplement, which I know all excited about, was the issue with doing it intravenously once a month is that surely you're dumping on your body a vast quantity of something, which it's then got to metabolize, and then surely you're going to get this kind of curve. Well, how does that work?
I would not repeat the IV. I did it as a journalist because it takes a long time, because it makes you feel. I think I was there for about 2.
Oh my god!
You kind of there's a little dial that you can twiddle to kind of a bit like if you're in hospital and you can kind of regulate your morphine, like more or less,
more.
But it creates this kind of internal pressure, and it does make you feel quite nauseous. Yeah. So to dial down the nausea, you have to dial down the rate at which it absorbs. It's different for everybody. For me, I was sitting there for 2 hours going, oh God, when will this finish? Yeah. And I just don't have the time. No. And it's really expensive. It's like between £300 and £500. Yeah. And I just thought that's not for me. I don't have the time, don't have the money, doesn't feel nice. And it doesn't get into every cell. So taking a supplement every day for me was the preferred option, a precursor. So
let's talk supplements then.
Yes.
So I also would concur that I ruled out the intravenous once a month option as well, for not because I didn't know what you've just said, but because in my mind, especially from Chinese medicine, that we always kind of try and do the smallest amount possible to create the largest amount of change. And you don't want to kind of go too crazy too quickly, because you kind of dump too much onto the body and then your metabolism has to process it all. And if you're weak, it's a bit like putting a very strong electric charge through a slightly faulty electric circuit in the house, and you've got a chance it might kind of keel over. So my body is very fragile. Anyone that's been listening knows that I very unfortunately had a very nasty bout of long COVID earlier on this year, which really attack my nervous system. It's really tricky. And the last thing I wanted to do was kind of overwhelm myself. So I ruled that out as well. But I went into the injectable version, which we'll talk about afterwards. But let's talk supplementation. So you went down the supplement route.
Yeah,
so let's talk that.
So the sort of supplements that we're talking about are precursors of NAD, and they are things like NMN and nicotinamide. So these are things that help your body make NAD in the cells. And so I've got a couple here that I really like from brands that I really, really rate. So, for example, the one I've got here, which is the ARTA Enhanced NAD Complex. This has got nicotinamide riboside in it and nicotinamide, which are two NAD precursors, and a whole host of other things linked to really popular longevity supplements. Quercetin is one, and resveratrol you'll see a lot teamed with.
So can you take that? And she says, I'm doing a James here. It's all about me. So sorry, James. James is like, okay, it is a bit. No. So can you take that and this?
To be honest, I don't know because you'd have to ask a nutritionist. But I certainly know with NAD, there are very few recorded side effects because it's a kind of derivative of vitamin B. So it appears to be very safe. Whether it's effective or not, there are very few human studies to show its long-term effectiveness. And as we were saying earlier,
safety, which is something we need to say because it hasn't been, well, it has been researched, but probably for about 20 years. I mean, in terms of supplementation, that's quite short.
I don't know even that. I mean, I know there are animal studies on it, but vitamin B3, which is the kind of the derivative, the kind of the mothership.
Yeah.
So obviously you can get B3 from your diet, from turkey, salmon, things like that.
Or just
Parmesan cheese, apparently.
Oh, great. I love that. I love Parmesan. But for the vegans out there...
no, you can't really get it from plants. That's
right. So supplementation.
I think some legumes have it.
But it sounds like you need to take a supplement.
Animal sources or, non-plant-based sources are the richest. So what were we saying?
We were talking about, is it safe to take NAD plus like this with a supplement at the same time?
I think you'd have to ask your specialist practitioner about that. I don't know. Yes, as there aren't very many human studies to show that it is effective. So I think probably in this case, the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work,
and you're just peeing. You're spending a lot of money
peeing it out.
Yeah.
And just as long as you obey the doses on the bottles, and if you're double dosing, check with a practitioner. But do we want to wait another 20 years, you and I, to decide whether we want to take it?
I'll be 72.
No, exactly.
No, absolutely not. And actually, as somebody that's only just started taking it, and I have been not very well earlier this year. I was fine. I was doing absolutely fine with the usual sort of midlife stuff, kind of orbiting around, too much to do and not quite enough time to do it. And my body not quite as strong as it used to be to cope with it all, but nonetheless still having to do everything. And then in came the COVID and absolutely walloped me sideways. But still, I mean, I did have to take 2 weeks off, but that wasn't enough. I mean, I had to sort of slowly build myself.
For you, taking 2 weeks off is huge, isn't it?
I mean, even then I was still doing the lives because you've got to kind of, sort of do the school run. I mean, it's just like, sort of get my kid to school. Her school's half an hour's drive away. So, life goes on. Never mind me. So that's what sort of took me into it because I thought, actually, I need to look beyond what I'm already doing because I need more help because the COVID isn't over and above. In the olden days, it would have killed us. So that's the interesting thing about where we are right now. If this time 100 years ago, the Spanish flu wiped out, 13 million people across Europe. And before then, had the plagues and all the rest of it so COVID hasn't done that. But then we've got all these sort of long-term things floating about. Probably 100 years ago, it would have just killed me. But this day, it just sort of slowly just kind of like walloped me. And that's why I looked into it. So I took it and I personally am quite careful about supplementation. One of the issues that I have with supplements is because the COVID had affected my digestive system. It had gone for my digestion more than anything else. So my digestion, the lymphatics, my nervous system in my abdomen, I could feel them under siege. It was a most horrible sensation. And I didn't really feel that I could cope with actually ingesting anything because I couldn't eat very much. So everyone that knows me sort of has all commented, gone, God, you've lost so much weight this year. And I was like, yeah, I could barely eat. I mean, portion controls just sort of went down, permanent nausea. It was sort of like being bit like being pregnant again, just like great. Marvellous, with no gorgeous baby at the end of it, just like the symptoms. So I didn't feel that I could actually take anything
of course.
orally, because I was just on really kind of tiny portions of like mushy food, and the thought of a capsule, I was like, oh, I can't digest it. So for me, the concept of taking something intravenously was a better idea, because as an acupuncturist, I have no problem sticking needles into myself whatsoever. Much to the horror of my children watching me, they were going, oh my God, Mummy, what are you doing? But I was like, no, this is good. And it took 2 weeks for me to notice an absolute sharp reversal of my symptoms when I started
That's so
taking it.
good.
It was amazing. I felt alive. I felt younger. You know, that lovely youthful energy that you have in your 20s where you just feel well and you could go out all night and not have to worry about it and just be able to cope the next day. I mean, a number of times when I was at work, I'd be able to sort of go out and see friends and go to bed at sort of 3-4 o'clock in the morning and just have a few hours sleep and get up and go to work the next day and cope.
Yeah.
Now you could be absolutely joking. I get sleep deprivation hangovers if I've gone to bed after 11 p.m. and had one glass of wine. I'm like, oh my God. So I found that it gave me a sort of age reversal sense of strength in my body, which I didn't abuse. Unlike in your 20s where you just think, it's fine.
I
can
won't
cope.
sleep at all.
No,
then.
I'll be fine. And people go, God, how do you do it? Go, I don't know. I've obviously got this hidden energy. It's like, no, I'm just burning through my energy. This time I cherished it and found that it was a really beautiful sensation of strength.
Yeah, brilliant.
Which was
And
amazing.
you found what worked for you. And I think it's really important if you are feeling like you lack energy to speak to a professional and find out what could be causing it, because it could be, simply, it could be an iron deficiency, could be B12, could be any number of things, couldn't it? I mean, you were under the care of professionals and this worked for you, but
Actually, funnily enough, I did talk to a nutritionist because I sort of had felt that in self-caring myself out of this rather nasty attack of COVID, because it was pretty brutal. I did all the things that I talk about, that I do, and all the usual stuff, and all of it was helping. But nonetheless, it's literally like balancing scales. I think being women in our 50s, or sort of in our second spring, as we like to talk about these things, is that because we tend to have our children a bit later now, and we've got jobs, many of us have jobs, and many of us have just these huge responsibilities, which has never really happened before because everyone's living longer. So we find ourselves in this moment in time where we've got aging parents and they need looking after. We've got children and they need looking after. Many of us work, so that needs attention. And we've also got our own bodies to look after. So there's quite a lot of looking after going on and not much available time to do it. So I needed something over and above what I was already doing, because I couldn't really fit much more into my diary over and above the qigong, the self-care. My daughter, who does a lot of self-care, she laughs at me because I just go, just do this for 5 minutes a day, darling. And she goes, Mummy, the 5 minutes a day with the brushing and the tapping and the foot massaging and the gua sha and the breathing and the yoga and the qigong. She goes, Mummy, I come home from school, I've got no time to do my homework, because she's like endlessly looking after herself. And I thought, no, they're right. And this was a little bit of a quick fix. But I guess the other issue...
the thing is, you also do everything else.
I do everything else.
It wasn't your first port of call, but it was the game changer, the thing that tipped the scales for you, which
because
is brilliant.
Because COVID had tipped the scales absolutely off whack. And I was like, well, I've still got everything to do and I can't take any more time off work. I can't keep resting. I've got to build myself back up.
And it is actually being NAD Plus is being investigated for help with long COVID, because it's to do with our ability to recover and repair our cells to function properly. So it's quite exciting, and I'm interested to see how it's going to pan out.
Well, it's very cutting edge. And one other thing to say about this is that there is, interestingly, although in the West we talk about B3, in Chinese medicine there's a herb that we call, which is creolin. Let me just double check that that's absolutely, because I don't pride myself in my great. I'm not a Chinese herbalist, so I just want to double check that is absolutely correct in terms of the information.
Corylin, it says
Corylin, that's it, Corylin, not creolin, Corylin. Which is
Corylin.
Yeah, so that's a softer derivation of something which they've done studies on mice and rats and things. They haven't done human studies, but it is used in Chinese herbal medicine as an age elongator and something that they use for rehabilitation of the body. But it's a slightly slower process. And I have to say, I'd not tried it because I didn't need it prior to trying the NAD+. I think I just jumped on the NAD+ bandwagon because I thought I can't really wait 3 months for something to work, because I've got to kind of get stuck into what I'm doing now. So if one of the main issues with the NAD+, if you don't take the supplement format, is it's expensive. I mean, it's really expensive. I mean, this tiny little vial, a full price is 350 quid for the month. Now, there are discount codes, by the way. If you do discount codes for NAD+, they will come up, and I did just that. So I got mine for like 280 quid. But nonetheless, but at the time, I thought I just need to function. I've got to be able to get my daughter to school. I've got to be able to cook dinner. I've just got to be able to cope with all the things I have to do. So for me at the time, it was money well spent. Whether I'm prepared to spend that much money every single month ongoing, arguably not, because I think the price point is ridiculously expensive, and there's many, many people who will not be able to afford even the discounted price of £280 a month. That's a lot. So Kryolin would be a good thing to investigate as an option, and perhaps to speak to a Chinese herbalist to see whether that would be an ongoing option, because it's a lot cheaper. And then obviously the supplements are a lot cheaper as well.
Yes, they are. I mean, they are at the expensive end of supplements. So you're paying like 50 quid because it's relatively hard to tricky to formulate. But in the longevity space, you'll see it formulated with things like, as I said, quercetin, resveratrol, all those molecules that are associated with longevity. And it's part of a general anti-inflammatory lifestyle, because I think that's what they're really saying is, you know, the part of aging is inflammation. And so if you can do those anti-inflammatory things in your lifestyle anyway, and we know what they are, they're kind of avoiding smoking and you know, all of the inflammatory things that we do, stress. To avoid too much sun, you know, junk food, alcohol. So a general anti-inflammatory lifestyle, I think, is your free way of jumping on this sort of
and the other,
longevity bandwagon.
You didn't bring this with you, but like the liposomal is something that I really like.
Yeah.
Now that's actually interestingly, that's come from Germany, I think. It's
so
German
liposomal
nutrition.
just means encapsulated in a
liquid,
in a fat. It's
oh right.
I think it's a phospholipid. It's so that's the lipo bit is fat.
Right.
So what it means is whatever is encapsulated is wrapped in this fat won't get destroyed by your digestive system, and it will go into your intestines where it will release. So
now,
your digestive enzymes won't, your stomach acid won't destroy it. So it gets the molecule of whatever it is, like glutathione is one I take liposomally. Yes. That's another one of those kind of, it's one of those kind of they call it the master antioxidant, but it's not quite an antioxidant. But it's, I have a sort of a very common liver condition called Gilbert syndrome.
Yeah.
And it just means my liver doesn't function all that well, and we know how important it is. And glutathione is really supportive for the liver, and a great way to take it is liposomally. Same with vitamin C.
And so I'm a huge fan of, so I call it liposomal. I've obviously been pronouncing it wrong for the last 5 years. So liposomal.
Yeah.
See, I shouldn't just read you, Victoria. This is why you need to be on the podcast, because you see, I've just read her articles, then I'll pronounce it wrong and sound like an idiot. Right. So liposomal.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a big fan. I'm a big fan of liposomals. I try and take, if I am taking supplementation, I try and take it in that format. Would you concur, or would you do you like a good old capsule?
It depends if it's a thing that will be destroyed or made less effective by your stomach. It just protects it as it goes through the digestion. And things like glutathione, for example, are best taken liposomally.
And vitamin C.
There is a really good, Altrient liposomal vitamin C is brilliant. I take that as well. The studies for hair growth, 2 sachets a day for hair growth.
Which is another one of Victoria's specialist subjects, by the way. We bonded over thin hair. Yeah. The difference is I cheat and you don't. So
yeah. Oh well, I'm on that. I'm on the hormone drops now, so we can talk about that another episode.
We'll save thinning hair for another day, Joe. Thin hair is such a brilliant topic. It's one of my favourites. But okay, so I think we've probably done NAD plus really well there. So basically, it's not fully tested. We are kind of the human guinea pigs at the moment. My own anecdotal experience was very, very positive indeed. Yeah. I personally wouldn't endorse the big fat drip. You've had the big fat drip. You wouldn't endorse it either.
And also it's too expensive, and it made me feel ill and takes too long.
But so if you were to choose one supplement for that, would you take the liposomal version, or would you take one of these that you've got?
No, I haven't actually seen NAD in liposomal form. I don't think it's, maybe it's not necessarily.
Okay,
it could be someone's making it. I like the Arta Enhanced NAD+.
Do you want to just show that to the camera, just so that anyone wants to see it?
The Arta Enhanced NAD+.
They're not paying her to say that, ladies and gentlemen. This is personal, professional kind of opinions going on here.
Because it's blended with other longevity promoting ingredients, and also this Jolt one, it's called Ultimate Age Blocker Capsules, looks a bit kind of,
It's very young and trendy, doesn't it?
Yeah, but no, it's
very juice bar.
It's also got something called Skinax, which is a good skin ingredient, but it won a Get the Gloss award for energy. A nutritionist picked this out as being really well formulated.
And by the way, the Get the Gloss awards are amazing. Not just plugging the Get the Gloss here, because Victoria very kindly asked me to be a judge for a couple of years running, and I have to say they are really thorough. And this stuff arrives, and you really take it seriously. And Victoria runs it absolutely rigorously. So there's no just kind of like sort of prizes
that
for your mates.
Nice. No,
that one looks the best one. We'll have that. She kind of quizzes you, and you go, "Oh my god, I need to know my stuff."
I read all the ingredients, and
I know you're really rigorous. That's why we love having you on the show, because there's nothing gets past her. Let me tell you, can't blag your way through a meeting with Victoria.
Oh, so anyway, Arta, run by a nutritionist who really knows her stuff, Rhian Stevenson. And this Jolt one I really like. And also Nuchido Time. So this is a scientist called Dr. Nicola Conlon who's made these. And these are NAD, what they call precursors. So they are NMN, nicotinamide. So it helps your body make its own NAD. And also what she does is she says you need to feed you. It's a bit like you need to make sure the factory is all in working order. So it's no point in just sending the raw materials through the production line, the NAD+. You've got to oil the machinery and make sure that's functioning.
Absolutely. So, otherwise, the body can't absorb anything. Exactly. It's too tired.
So this particular one, Nuchido Time Plus, you have to take something like 6 a day, and that's a bit of a faff because you have to take it with food, and you shouldn't take it too near the evening.
Yeah.
But it is like the most thorough in helping you make your own NAD. Whereas the other two are kind of they're great, but they're also kind of more longevity boosters as well, with things like anti-inflammatory other ingredients into.
I mean, that would make sense. It's what I call diary discipline, okay? And now that is one of the hardest things of self-care to have. We can take supplements to wear blue in the face and buy stuff, but diary discipline is one of the biggest problems. I have the same problem myself. I'm not sitting going, and my diary is perfect and my life is perfect. Like, no, it's not. Yeah. Diary discipline is one of the hardest things that we have to cope with as modern women.
What do you mean? Just remembering to do stuff?
No, just having the opportunity to eat 3 meals a day at the right time, not too near to your dinner, so that you can take your supplements at the same time.
And having
to
your
have
supplements
them on
where you are.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
You're running around like a headless chicken. So it's really important, as a little sidebar, to try as best you can, whatever it is that you're doing, to make sure that you diary your self-care, e.g. your lunch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being funny here. Just eating at the right time. I did a really brilliant... diet's not the right word. It was like a sort of food plan, sort of 6-week thing that I was doing earlier on this year, and it was really good. But it was so hard to make sure that I ate every 5 hours, absolutely within this window, day in, day out, because, life is so frenetic. Oh, here she's going to show off now.
So this
well
is
done.
This is my thing I carry around. This is
my God,
what's my children's puree pot.
What's in the pot? Come on, what have you got going on? Yeah, let's see. What's in Victoria's pot?
I haven't done very well because it's still quite full.
Is this a day?
So this is, yes, 2 sachets of liposomal vitamin C
for
hair, general wellness, and also for collagen. You can't make your own collagen unless you take vitamin C because it's a cofactor.
Right, so which brand is this now? We're going complete. James is holding his head in despair because this is now going off for hours. Right, what brand is this?
This is Altriant, and they have studies, a new study to show that it's really effective for hair growth, but vitamin C is for just
everyone
everything.
needs vitamin
C.
And
I've got my 2 sachets of Altriant liposomal glutathione.
Right,
and this tastes fairly disgusting. It's like, it's really eggy and sulfury, and you kind of have to neck it in water. But it's also very good for tackling pigmentation on your skin.
Oh, very good. That takes us to LED masks later on.
I have my ferritin tablet for my hair,
right?
My lack of hair growth. Oh, and actually, I've got 2. My thyroid comes up quite low, so I've got 2 of Pippa Campbell's Meta Boost tablets, which
I love her stuff.
Thyroid support. Oh, and I must have taken my NADs because they're not in here. And otherwise, I would have some other stuff for my liver in here.
Okay,
but anyway, I carry around a little pot with your things in.
I mean,
and then
that's
don't forget
impressive.
to open it is the next thing.
Anybody watching this on any of the channels, please do put in the comments below. First of all, a round of applause to Victoria for, she wins the self-care prize of the day, because I'm sitting here shamefully going, okay, I don't do that. And if anyone
that
else...
pot should be empty, really. I should have taken half
Actually,
of that
that's
stuff
technically true. You don't win the self-care prize of the day. Anyone would like to enter our self-care prize of the day to give us reasons as to why they think they win the prize, because Victoria's failed miserably, because she's brought them with her but hasn't taken them, which is only one step beyond me, who didn't bring them with her at all and hasn't had lunch either, because it was my daughter's first day at school. school today. I know. So I had to get her to school and then get on the train. And there was this bit in the middle which didn't happen, which was my breakfast.
Yeah. Well, I had my lunch courtesy of Katie's recommendation, which is the bread to top all breads. 2 slices of
Oleanstein chia bread.
Oh my God, I'm so addicted to that ever since you told me about that.
That is one of my absolute, like, I had that.
Keeps you full, busts your bowels, does everything.
I know, it keeps you regular, it keeps you so regular. If anyone's got any irregularities, you need the Oleanstein rye and chia bread. And if you don't live near an Oleanstein, just get rye bread. Rye bread. It's just like absolute heaven for the stomach. You can feel it go, oh yes, it's so good.
I buy like 3 and put them in the freezer.
Me too. I buy, actually I don't buy. What I do, this is really lazy.
Do you get them on Deliveroo or something?
Okay, I do. Yeah, this is embarrassing. Okay, do you know what? This is the confessions of a healthaholic. Okay, what do? When I'm in my micro flat in West London, when I'm in London, I order on Deliveroo and then I get 20% off. Because they're always doing discounts on delivery. So I order loads of it, and then the poor delivery bloke turns up with these 2 massive bags of bread. And he's going, who is this strange woman? And I kind of go down on my slippers, literally, and I kind of grab it all and I stick it all in the car, take it all back to Somerset, and then I cut it all up with the lab sitting there.
Get them to slice it for you.
No, I don't like their slices.
Oh, don't you?
No, their slices aren't thick enough, and that's not good enough. No. And then I need to have 2 slices, then I put butter on it. That's too much the wrong way. So no, I don't do that. No. I cut it myself, so it's slightly thicker. And then I prefer the 1 thicker piece and 2 thinner pieces.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's kind of less topping to more bread. And often I don't put a topping. So the labs are sat there, like they know when it's rye bread time and mummy's cutting it all up. So I slice up all these 6 loaves and then stick them all in the freezer.
Yeah.
And then you can take it out slice by slice and then go it straight into the toaster. Bingo. Yeah. Absolute gut bowel heaven, I tell you.
It's so good. It's so good.
All on delivery.
With chia, and it's rye bread with chia. And
the chia. Have you tried their bread rolls?
Yes, because you told me about the bread
what
rolls.
do you think about them?
Very good with cheese.
Oh, very nice. I haven't tried them with cheese.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, very nice. Right, okay.
Well, I'm half German, so cheese and rye bread is my kind of
And
staple.
actually, it depends on the cheese because not being half German, she says slightly jealously, but I do really love the Dutch cheeses like the Edams and the Goudas and those. Yeah, they are really good. So I do like those. Yes, I don't have them on the bread. I have them next to with the apple. And that's kind of one of my favourite lunches. But anyway, let's not talk too much about food because I haven't actually had breakfast or lunch today, which is probably because my diary discipline has gone out the window because my daughter started school today, so it all went out of the window. So just to finish on NAD+, the Chinese equivalent, because that's what I bring to the table. Otherwise, I can just go home and Victoria can do the entire episode on her own because she's got that much content to share, is Krylin. Okay, which is the one that we like to prescribe in Chinese herbalism, which takes us to our next topic, which is James's question. Now, James gets to pull rank every now and then because he's the producer of the show. He gets to nudge his question up to the number 2. This is literally the 3rd thing we've ever spoken about. Funny enough, it's all about James. So this is all about creatine. Now, the reason we want to talk about this is it's got a lot of relevance to the menopause, but it's also got menopause to the gentlemen listening to the show because it's about building muscle mass. And again, I'm going to get Victoria in on this. So let me stop talking right now. Victoria, let's talk about creatine.
Well, creatine, women in midlife are getting very excited about it because it's used to be thought of as just something that, people take men take in the gym to help them build muscle and boost recovery. But it's now being shown to improve quite a few of the symptoms of menopause, notably mood and brain fog and energy. And that's kind of something that a lot of women struggle with. So I like a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of creatine, which is a very cheap powder. So that's really good. It's quite accessible. You can put it in your smoothie. I know Liz Earle puts it in her coffee. It's virtually tasteless, can be a little bit gritty. I put it in a smoothie every morning. But nutritionists I know and respect and neuroscientists, they are all really getting excited about it. So that's when I kind of sit up and go, okay, there's something to this. It's not just a fad.
And?
I take it in a smoothie.
Right.
I take, where is it? Oh, I've got it somewhere. Here we go. Strong Nutrients. This is by Zana Morris, who's a personal trainer and nutrition expert, and it's called Pure Fine Creatine monohydrate. And you can also get it in, what else have I bought? I bought this one. This is by Overload, OVR Load, and it's micronized creatine with electrolytes. So this is kind of geared at people who are working out because it's got electrolytes in as well. But I don't like this powder. I don't like this so much because electrolytes are very salty and you have to neck them and they're just a bit gaggy. So I prefer.
And how does it? So this magic ingredient that we can all afford, and that's good for the gentlemen and the ladies listening. How does it work? What's it doing?
It is helping with your muscle recovery. And I don't quite know how it helps with mood and brain fog, but there are studies, really interesting studies into all of that. So it works by helping cells make more ATP, which is their energy source. So a bit like NAD, but working on energy in a different pathway. So it means that your muscle cells can fire on all cylinders, and it increases your stamina and performance and allows you to work out harder. But it also is helping these menopausal symptoms, a lot of the mental symptoms of, the brain symptoms of menopause as well.
So
tiredness.
This is where I think Chinese medicine can step in, which is why I love these conversations with you, Victoria, because we've got such sort of like an interesting route from different backgrounds. Because where we would say this is basically a substance which would strengthen kidney qi. And that's where this is coming in from a terms of strengthening the energy and the ability for the body to just generally uptake. Because as you said earlier, if the vessel is weak, it can't absorb. And that's the problem. So it's literally like imagining that with these extra kind of superfoods, super supplements that you're charging through, it is like putting a strong electric current through. If you're putting it through a sort of faulty electric system, the electric system will just trip because it won't be able to handle it. Now, so therefore the dosage, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be really important, because the thing is with this is that what it's doing is strengthening kidney qi. But if you put too much in, you're going to weaken kidney qi because you've overloaded it. And then you're overloading the very organ that it's supposed to be strengthening in the first place. So my first point of contact on this would be to say, don't overdo it whilst you start, because then you're in danger of actually damaging the very organ you're trying to help. But in the meantime, why it would be good for strengthening the body in terms of sort of muscle mass and sort of working out, and then also having this rather randomized kind of, suddenly the women are getting involved going, hang on a minute, it's helping with brain fog, it's helping me with this, is because what you're doing is, remember in Chinese medicine, one of the things I always talk about is strengthening the 5 key organs. So if you sort of microdose the kidneys and start to give them a little bit of assistance, one of the things is that with the menopause and with developing the strength of the body, is that it's all about the kidneys. And our kidneys get walloped in modern day society because of the overall stress response. We're burning the candles at both ends. As women, often we are, because it's part of the sort of the development of the movement of feminism, because we've now got, many of us have the right, well, we have the right to have jobs. We may not have them, but we have the right to have them. But it's kind of on the condition that you kind of still have to do everything else as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not like you now just get to go and do your job and come home at 5 and now you can just relax in front of the telly. It's like, well, no, because you've still got to do everything else. So
and you're felled by all the menopausal stuff going on as well. So you've got to do it all and cope with the menopause too.
And yes, because the thing is, we are on a different time zone to the male body. It's just a different structure. It's not weaker, it's different. But we've been referred to as the sort of the weaker sex, and we've had to kind of equalize. Now, in that process of equalization, of which we're at the tail end right now, I always say that the organ on the altar of this equalization process that we've had the privilege to be at the benefit, we are benefiting from what's happened over the last 100 years. But the organ that's been sacrificed is your kidneys, because your kidneys are responsible for the energy of your body, for the sleep cycles, for the 7-year cycle of life, for the reproductive system, for the menopausal transition into matriarch zone, and all of that has been absolutely walloped by late 20th century, early 21st century life. So substances like this, in my opinion, are really good taken in low doses, and that what you've got to do is build up slowly.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that the 2 supplements that we've been talking about are all about energy? So it's clear that we're all depleted in energy. We want more, and that can be a result of modern life, but also that, the first port of call really is kidney energy.
And so actually, to answer James's question, because never mind the thousands of people listening, it's all about James and his workout planning for the autumn, quite clearly. Because his question was, should I take this stuff because I'm running a marathon or he's doing something? So it's like he needs to, what are you doing? You're building up your muscles or something?
Yeah, for running.
For running. He's not American Beauty midlife crisis. He's just running, okay? So the answer is, be careful with these kind of substances which can be overloaded into the body if you're not careful, because then sometimes what you can do is overload the kidneys, which you don't want to do. And the kidneys are the organ responsible for energy, and the easiest way to strengthen your kidneys is with breath, because metal, which is the breath in the energy cycle which generates energy, breath energy generates kidney strength. okay, so actually one of the best things that you can do before you start running and doing aerobic activity is a whole load of breath exercises first. So perhaps I'd be considering, say, some Wim Hof stuff, perhaps not quite going straight into Wim Hof. I would, funnily enough, before this, I was just talking to James and saying, you need to speak to John Monroe, who is somebody I desperately want to get onto this podcast because he's like Qigong expert extraordinaire, to start giving us some really, really good breathing exercises to build up slowly before you go to the really, really strong dynamic stuff. But I'd be looking at breath exercises before we go too deeply into overusing a supplement.
And interestingly, if you want to get creatine from your diet, it's again one of those things that's mostly in the kind of animal world, seafood and meat. Red meat is richer than chicken or pork. And this is actually the thing where Parmesan comes in. I thought it was NAD, it's not. Parmesan is your go-to for your creatine boosting.
But one thing to say about that, because I'm all in favour of supplementing the diet, number one, through food. Always. Like, you should never take supplements. You should always eat first, supplement second. But one of the problems you've got is because of the way that we're managing the food chain. So you've got to think very. So if you're living somewhere where, for example, cows aren't outside in fields eating fresh grass, so and they're in barns eating kind of specific diets, which is kind of slightly man-made or whatever. You're not necessarily getting the right food. You're not getting these substances coming in through the flesh and into your body. So this is where you've got to be really, really careful, making sure that you're being a bit nitpicky about where your food is coming from, because it's really easy to sit there and go, oh, well, I've just eaten some shellfish because I've just had some prawns in my whatever it is, frozen blah, blah, that I've just bought from somewhere or other. And you think, well, where if they've been farmed, if it's farmed food, as in not organically nicely farmed, as in not necessarily that responsibly farmed, and you didn't know that, then it's not necessarily going to give you these supplements.
I eat 2 Brazil nuts a day because you can get your daily quota of selenium through 2 Brazil nuts a day. And that's because the soil in Brazil is rich in selenium, but it's getting less rich, or it depends where the Brazil nuts are from. So normally 1 Brazil nut would be fine, but I take 2 just in case they're... So that's what nutritionist advises. But interestingly, Norfolk potatoes are rich in selenium because apparently the soil in certain areas of Norfolk has more selenium in.
Wow.
So it's like you're saying, it's just coming through the soil. And then that it translates into the food.
So basically, sorry, go on.
And that's also why they say we're kind of depleted in magnesium, because our soil is no longer mineral rich. And so we're not getting as much from our diet, and stress eats up magnesium by the bucket load. So not only are we ploughing through our stores with stress and in midlife, we're not getting it from our diet because it's not rich in the soil anymore.
No, and that's one of the reasons why we talk a lot about magnesium bathing. Whether if you don't have a bath, foot bathing with magnesium salts is one of the best ways. And you can there's a lovely product called Sweet Bee Magnesium Butter, and another one called OMG Spray, which is one of my personal favourites, which is just really easy ways to get magnesium into your body without having to add yet more in. We should probably now move on to the LED face mask, because I can see James fidgeting in the background thinking this episode is going to go on for hours and we've all got to get home eventually.
I have to reach into my bag to get my bag of goodies.
I know, you've got so much good stuff.
Katie said, bring all your LED stuff. And I was actually wearing one this morning because I've got a shoulder injury. So I was wearing this one that goes around your neck. It's a neck and deck red LED mask. And I was wearing it around my shoulder because it actually...
I have to say, Victoria, you are the queen of LED. There is, if you go to her Instagram, there is a post where Victoria's literally put on all of her LED products. She looks ridiculous. She looks so funny. So you are the absolute LED guru. Now, light therapy is something that we talk a lot about in Chinese medicine. Indeed, all of the different crystals have different resonances and they reflect to the different organs. So red crystals relate to the heart, yellow crystals relate to the spleen. So colour therapy is something that we use, but we don't... LED is obviously a very new thing. So Victoria, over to you on this stuff, because this is definitely the cutting edge of beauty. I, as usual... Oh my God, I mean, you look fantastic.
Hang on, I can make this change.
I feel like we do need to put our masks on at this point to actually just have a sense of kind of, shall we have this conversation with our LED mask on?
Okay, right.
Once again, I'm late to the party on the LED. I'm about 5 years behind the curve, but I now have an LED mask and I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, you are literally... do this.
Yeah, mine doesn't do that. I feel a bit embarrassed now. Mine just does this. Oh, I love it.
The two lights I would go for, and you've got the Boost, the Light Salon Boost, and the Light Salon are specialists
which you gave
in
me.
Light. Did I?
Yes, very
nice
kindly.
Yes, because it was the best one. So,
I know, and then it sat in my cupboard for ages. I can't work it. And my daughter going, you are literally joking, Mummy. And she just pressed the button and went, oh. And so now I use it religiously every other day.
Yeah. So the two that I think you should go for are near infrared, which is an invisible light, and red LED. So red LED is collagen boosting, anti-inflammatory, and near infrared is it goes a bit deeper, and it works on a deeper levels of
And
the
that's
skin
this
and more
one.
healing. Yes, so that's what you've got.
And this is the Light Salon Boost, which I absolutely love. And I have in turn bought several of these for various well-loved people in my life. You've got that one too.
Yes, and Omnilux also very, very good. I've got the neck and neck version, which goes on here. I might even be able to switch it on. Let's have a look. Now, some of them you will see have blue. Yeah. Some of them have blue light as well. So you can see, I think the one I've got on at the moment is more pink. Yeah. So it's mixing blue and red. So blue light is antibacterial. So if you had acne or you needed some kind of superficial skin clearing, you would use the blue light. So
right.
a lot of the ones for clearing your skin have blue light, but I think the one that you have, red and near infrared, is probably what most people will need. And actually, if you've had acne, you might be left with acne scarring, so that would be very healing for that. So yes, so LED, I think that the thing is, you have to use it regularly.
You do. It's every other day, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's something like 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the mask.
Yeah, but it feels, I mean, like, it's really pleasurable. It's not like I've got to put it on. I think, oh, God, I put mine on very first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Every other day. And I love it because it feels like summer sunshine.
Yeah,
it's a really nice way to wake up.
Yeah. I use an actually a big panel called the Dermalux Flex.
Now that is the absolute. Now you're showing off, because that is absolutely the all mother of LED lights, and I've got LED light like envy there, because I really want one of those. It's on my birthday list. But
it is expensive. You can buy it in instalments from Current Body. And it's
about
like
£2,000, isn't it?
I mean, it's a lot. But it is the one that doctors have recommended to me as being effective, because there's not that many studies to show how effective the silicone masks that we're wearing are. I mean, people do say their skin is brighter and it calms down inflammation, but the Dermalux Flex is the one that doctors will use, and it's the nearest thing to what they use in their clinics after they've given you a tweakment, for example, and your face is all red and it needs to calm down. I'm getting a bit hot.
Yeah, I'm going to take mine off as well. It's getting a bit. We've got the dramatic. Oh, that's better. Got the dramatic effect of what we were doing there.
We're taking ours off now.
So the £2,000 professional one, which is beyond so many people's budgets. Just going back to this one, which is about 300.
They're about £300 to £400.
Yeah. And again, by the way, you can get discount codes. I always check for discount codes when I'm buying these things, because you'll often find you'll get one. And personally, I can really see the difference. And again, I'm always quite sceptical about these newfangled things, because I'm always like, well, in China, blah, blah, blah. But, and obviously as the queen of gua sha and crystal masks and all the rest of it, I was quite sceptical. But once my daughter showed me how to work it, which was no more than pressing this button, but I was being a bit of a nitwit. So I put it on and tried it. And I have to say, my skin looked brighter straight away. And my fine lines and wrinkles definitely look softer straight away. So I love using this in conjunction with gua sha, definitely not as instead of, but in conjunction with. And I've noticed an improvement. I've definitely noticed an improvement using it, even if there's no science to prove why.
No, I think it is good. You have to use it regularly, but also get a really good quality one, because it's such a trend that there are so many kinds of, cheapo ones
the Me
that you
Too's.
just it's to do with the quality of the bulbs, and it's not just shining any old red light on your skin.
No.
And so it is worth getting one by I would recommend Omnilux. I would recommend Boost, which we have, and also
Which is the Light Salon.
Yeah, the Light Salon, because that's their bread and butter. They do light therapy treatments in Selfridges and Harrods and places like that. And the other one that is good is the Current Body one was studied for the Radio 4 podcast Sliced Bread, because a listener wrote in and said, are LED masks any good? And they put some to experts and tried and tested them. And the Current Body one, which is similar to the one that we have, that came out very well. So that one probably is also good.
But if people wanted to sort of have really to go for it and to splurge, then the really expensive one, which
the Dermalux Flex. And if you've got a few of you in your household using it, you can share it. And I wanted it because I wanted it for my décolleté as well, and also if I got injured in yoga, because which I just have got injured, I wanted something quite strong to to put on it. So I lie with that flat on my shoulder while I'm watching the TV every night, and it's taking down the inflammation in my shoulder. I've got a shoulder tear and tendonitis.
Because that's the other thing, is that actually sometimes I know these things, £2,000 on an LED light is a huge amount of money, but LED light therapy isn't just for beauty. This is a natural anti-inflammatory. So it's actually quite a useful thing to use generally. It's also very good for period pain and joint pain. And James, you talk about your broken leg. It's the kind of thing for old traumas, old injuries, because you want to start running again and getting it moving.
Yeah. And it's actually very calming. I mean, if I want an afternoon nap and my head is whirring, I lie under my canopy, my kind of my LED, and it just sends me to sleep.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know what it does. It's very soothing.
I do. No.
Do you? What is
yes,
it?
because your your liver opens to your eyes. So
is that what it
the
is?
light therapy, the minute you close your eyes, and then there's lovely kind of, it's like a sort of sunlight version.
I do.
Soothes
That
the
one,
liver.
you need goggles on, because
Even
but it
so-
it still comes in through.
Yeah, because even though you've got the goggles on, that's
Yeah.
just filtering it. It's still having a relaxing effect on the liver. One of the main reasons... What's happened?
Just pull your mic over.
Oh, sorry. How's that? Yeah, okay. So one of the main reasons is that we struggle to relax in the afternoons, which is the key time to do it, is that your liver is going like this, because it's getting battered by so much information floating in, largely from screens, that it can't calm down. One of the other things I'd suggest for that, before you go and lie down under your gorgeous LED dome, and if anyone doesn't have an LED dome, which would be most people, is to shimmy the body. Because one of the easiest ways to transition yourself into meditation is, I like to refer to it as seasons, because when you're active, that's like you're in full summer mode. And then when you go to meditation, that's like full winter mode.
Yeah.
You need autumn.
Yes, that's true.
Right. So the shimmy, which is just literally this, which better when you're standing up, but you can kind of shake when you're sat down too, is the ability to start just allowing the body to just kind of go,
Like shaking the leaves off the tree.
Yes, exactly. And it starts to relax the body and get rid of all this agitated energy, so that then when you're going all the way into stillness, it's much easier. So just give yourself 2 or 3 minutes to transition, and then go under your LED light. And for those of you without the LED light, just put an eye mask on. We've got in Hey You, we do these really nice little eye pillows.
Oh, I love an eye pillow.
Oh, me too. And they're cheap, compared to a couple of grand, they're like 20 quid, which is also really useful. You just put them on your eyes, and the weight totally works on the liver as well. So that's another really useful tip. So I think with that, we better start wrapping it up, because Victoria, I could literally chat to you for hours, and we do, by the way, because we are really good friends as well as like co-colleagues in this space. What are you doing there?
I'm just going to show you my last
Victoria's
thing.
got her vibrator out. No, what is this? What is that?
No.
That
I thought you just wanted...
Oh, she's showing off now.
This is the very latest in
Of
this
course.
LED. So this is LED infused skincare. So I've got a little skincare capsule in here. I'll show you. And, it's now switched off. Maybe the batteries are on now. Oh, here we go. There we go. And it's a glass ball, and you roll it around, and it's the light is helping the skincare to penetrate, because light is quite a good kind of activator of the skin. So there we go.
And which now
this is called the Light in Derm, and it was developed with French hospitals. It's got loads of studies behind it, but it's the very latest in getting your skincare into the deeper layers of your skin using light to activate.
Now,
it.
is that fiendishly expensive, or is this market affordable?
No, it's about £400.
Gosh, these things always cost so much.
You'll see, that somebody's got to develop the technology, and you're paying for their R&D, and they've got 10 years worth of clinical studies. Doctors are using it and recommending it, skin doctors in hospitals, and eventually it will trickle down. So it's just sort of to show you what's coming.
Yeah, and there are cheaper versions already, not because they won't be as good as that, but you can find kind of all sorts of LED appliances. So it is worth shopping around and having a look, /waiting, /putting it on your Christmas list, because these things are coming, sort of get everyone. But funnily enough, that's why when I created Hey You, it was very much for me about making things right from the start, sort of affordable for everybody, so that you're looking at sort of a 50 quid tool where you think, okay, well, for 50 quid, everyone can gather together and chip in and buy you that one thing, and it lasts forever. Because one thing that does bug me about these things, because I do have to sort of give my honest opinion, whilst I've got them and I love them, they break. And that really bugs me. And sometimes, because I found with my LED mask, suddenly it wouldn't charge properly. And then, of course, I can't find the receipt, and I haven't got the box, because I'm not a receipt-keeping, box-keeping kind of person. So suddenly I've got this mask, and I'm like, that's really annoyed me, because I spent a load of money on it, and now I can't get it. It only seems to work on one charger in my house. Whereas what I like about the crystals and things is that they don't need any of this faff. Okay, they're clinically proven over thousands of years on billions of people, so that's a tick on that front.
And they have built-in energy, don't they?
Well, exactly. You just have to charge them up under under the moon and then they've done the job. They don't need charging by electric. They're not going to trip on the wire. You just have to stick them under the moonlight and cleanse them all off, and Bob's your uncle. So that was very much behind my thinking as a modern day woman, going, these things are great, but they don't half annoy me when they break after you've just forked out for them and then they don't work.
That
so
is
that
so true.
is a bit of a precursor there, which is my honest opinion, which is why the Light Salon probably are not sponsoring this podcast. Sorry, Light Salon and everyone else. But anyway, so there we go. But Victoria, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always such a pleasure. I was going to say friend of the show, but you're more than that now. You're like the co-patriot. You're the co-chair of the show.
Oh, thank
so
you.
Hopefully James Victoria's coming back in a couple of
Yes, I am.
Yes, good. So she's back for more. If you'd like us to talk about anything specific, or like James, you have a specific condition that you would like us to discuss all about yourself, then do feel free to jump the queue like he does and pop your questions in the comments below, and then we will do our best to answer them. So if you're in Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, put your messages in the comments below, and do please share this on your podcast platform, because this is how we get this information out there, by you sharing and allowing other people that you know and love to benefit from our hard-earned wisdom that we love to share. So thank you all so much for joining, and Victoria, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.